Last year, an OnlyFans star who goes by the stage name Annie Knight made a pledge to sleep with at least 600 men in 2024.
Classy.
Yes, and after breaking that record and setting that milestone for herself, she has now decided that it is time to settle down and find love. So she's going to make herself turn from a hoe into a housewife. And that is just, you know what? That's great. You can totally do that. I'm sure there are plenty of guys these days.
They will.
Who absolutely will not have any reservations about dating or marrying you because of your sexual history. Because we live in the age of the simp.
Don't get it twisted. There will be some dude, and he will not be poor. He will be wealthy. He will be rich, and he will marry her. I guarantee
Well, I mean,
it.
she herself, I'm sure, is incredibly wealthy off of her OnlyFans.
Yeah, but she's not looking
She's not going to just
not
date
dating
a random,
down.
yeah, like a random middle-class guy.
Mm-hmm.
Her standards are very high, I assume. We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Here's a new raw info source for you folks, a free email newsletter called The Dailies. It's a quick read buffet of Hollywood streaming and TV news plus data. Might be too inside baseball, but worth checking out.
It's called The Dailies? Thank you.
Brett's going to write that down. Write that down. So,
pull it up, Jamie.
Annie Knight did an interview with the New York Post to talk about her new search for love. She is known now as Australia's most sexually active, promiscuous woman.
Well, when it
not just the country, but the continent.
Any guy that wants to, make her happy has had some stiff competition, so this is not going to be easy for her.
Right. So now she has gone on one date in the last 2 years and wants that to change. In 2025, however, she has a busy schedule because she is pledged to sleep with 1,000 men, hopefully with half of them being virgins. This is her really strange goal. It's
like a corporate office giving you their bullet points for what they want to achieve in the new year.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
She's trend forecasting. This is something that both Annie Knight and Bonnie Blue from the UK have set out to do. They want to sleep with as many barely legal virgin teenage boys as they possibly can during what Australians call Schoolies Week. I wasn't completely aware of what this is, but let me explain. Schoolies, also known as Leavers Week in Australia, is an Australian tradition where high school graduates celebrate the end of their final exams in late November and early December. So this is like the summer for them over on the land down under. This week-long holiday is seen as a final party with schoolmates before they go their separate ways. They typically gather in popular destinations like the Gold Coast, and they also go internationally to Bali, Fiji, and other places. So this is basically a target. This is a breeding ground for OnlyFans content, and she aims to sleep with hundreds of teenage boys who just graduated high school. Bonnie Blue actually called this an effort to educate the youth on sex. This is actually a sex education program. So she's doing some philanthropy, actually.
Yeah.
Something good for society.
Good deeds.
Right. Yeah, they're always looking for ways to help people. So I don't know how Annie Knight is going to juggle her new search for a husband along with her effort to sleep with 1,000 men in a year.
I mean, I really think that Bonnie Blue it's that meme of the guy looking down like this. He's looking down on her. In a year, pathetic.
Yeah.
Bonnie Blue.
Try 24 hours.
Yeah.
But here, Annie Knight said, I'm looking for someone loyal, non-judgmental. That one is important. Accepting of my job. That one is also important. Someone who makes me laugh. Looks aren't as important, but obviously I need to be physically attracted to them. I think now's the right time because I've set myself up. I'm still doing my challenges, but I'm 28 and I have this amazing life and I'd love to have someone to share it with.
Well, I mean, with him and a lot of other people.
She said, I'm also a lot more confident than I was 2 years ago, and I've really discovered myself in this journey. So I feel ready to give love to someone else.
Okay, if you're not going to, if the physicality of your relationship isn't something that is exclusively shared between the two of you, then what is it really?
Then what
that
do
you're
you
sharing?
have exclusively?
What exactly are you exclusive? Is it money? Because I don't think you're going to be dating a poor dude who's going to use you for your money. I think the dude that you're going to end up finding is going to be as well-to-do as you are. So I don't know what it is that is it like are you going out to do really lame Instagram pictures in front of beach sunsets?
Yeah, I'm imagining that if her OnlyFans subscribers found out that she settled down with a man, they would no longer be interested in her content because they have a delusion that she is available to them. And as simps, they have this delusional idea that maybe one day they could have a chance with her. So if they found out that she was in a serious committed relationship on the side, that would kind of ruin their fantasy.
Yeah.
So I'm actually surprised that she would speak so openly about this. And it's funny that she said that she's been on a journey of self-discovery. Like, you found yourself at the bottom of
a used condom wrapper.
A used condom, essentially.
Yeah.
This is not a way to get to know yourself or anybody else. Actually, I mean, what I have always been advised by wise women who know from just life experience and their own moral standards, what I've always been told is that, you know, as soon as you sleep with a guy that you're dating who hasn't committed to you, that's when he stops getting to know you. So this is completely counterintuitive, but I doubt anyone has made such a wild suggestion to her.
Is this going to be one of those things where you hear this, there's like she's gonna expect the guy she's dating to wait?
Right. Yeah, right. Every time. Like, it's difficult to say that, like, okay, there are some people who say if you have slept with anyone in the past, then you have no, I guess it would say, right to expect the next guy to wait until marriage, or maybe some other milestone that's kind of arbitrary. I mean, I disagree with that because it's about a deeper moral principle than fairness, you know? And people are kind of not able to comprehend the call to chastity after you have lived in a way that you're ashamed of.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that's important, and I do think that someone who hasn't waited in the past but is waiting now has every right for that to be their standard. Like, it's your standard. So find someone who shares your standard. And that's rare, certainly, but it's out there. But for her to be saying this and not intending in any way to not sleep with strangers anymore while in a relationship is laughable, laughably delusional.
Is it supposed to be about like the separation of her work? She's like, look, it's my work. It's different. It's,
right, exactly.
It's like the most extreme version of the actors who you know, do sex scenes in their work, where you know, it's depending on your level of religious conviction, you might see that as a problem. But most people who aren't religious are like, okay, I get it. They're in front of a director. It's not actually sex. Whatever. They go home. They're probably married to another actor who also sees things in the same way that they do. Whatever. This is that taken to the most extreme conclusion.
Yeah, and but I think that's insane too.
Yeah, I mean, like there are people who work in these industries that are married, but they're usually married to other people that work in the industry.
Other porn stars. Yeah. Right, but there's, in my opinion, no way of checking your feelings at the door, letting like thousands of men use your body. Like, that's just not a real thing. You're lying to yourself if you say so. She told the Post that she's gone out with a real estate agent. I doubt he makes as much money as her. And she said she hated to add to the stereotype, but labeled him a wanker. He thought he was so self-important.
Wait, do we actually know that that's what he said?
The whole time. He was not interested in hearing about me at all. He was okay with my job, but they always say they're okay with my job. So a lot of these men, according to her, lie and say that they're comfortable with her doing OnlyFans, but later on it comes out they were hoping for her to quit for them, which is insane.
That, or they're being even more duplicitous and they just want to sleep with her and then leave. And
yeah, either one. Yeah. But I can imagine there are a lot of men who think like maybe she'll quit on account of me.
Yeah.
And wanting to commit to me. But
not
that's
at her pay scale.
No. And that's also like doing yourself a disservice, right?
Yep. It might be a weird form of egotism to believe that for some reason.
Oh yeah, like the whole I can fix her or I can change him mentality does come from a need for validation.
Yeah.
Like something you're doing to service your own ego.
Yeah.
She says every date she's been on in the last 4 years have seemed supportive of her line of work until they ghost her. She said, I can't believe how many bad experiences I've had with dating. The guy who expected me to pay because I earned more money than him.
Hey, we live in an equal society now, ladies. So
Annie
you know
Knight
what?
said that even asking to split the bill on a first date is a loser move, and people should take her to get ice cream if they can't afford dinner. She also said that the real estate agent she mentioned wanted to see her again, and it was likely because she's a good listener. I listened to him the whole time and didn't interrupt, which I'm sure he loved. I'm sure other girls would have interrupted him and left because it was basically just a monologue. Then she's also getting ready for another date who sounds like a surfer. And she isn't discounting people based on their vibe or their profession. Wanted to keep an open mind. They're going to need to have a very open mind to tolerate her profession, though. I don't think that we should expect any guy to be okay with that.
They're not even just talking about somebody who it's weird to say, but there's actually even levels to this. Like, we're not talking about somebody that just posted some pictures of themselves. Mm-hmm. We're talking about like
this is real life stuff,
marathon whoring,
right?
Like 600 people in a year. You know, and then
there's no way your brain is coming
and then they're
back
going to turn it on you and say, well, you're just not progressive enough. No. Some people are just going to be rightly weirded out by it because it's not normal. You can pretend it's normal, but it's not.
What they say is you're not secure in your masculinity if you can't tolerate basically being in an open relationship. Yeah. And fortunately, I think that the tide is turning against this whole polyamory nonsense and open relationship bullshit. Most people are willing to call themselves polyphobic now, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's been a new development. But yeah, I think that this woman is in for a rude awakening in the long run. It may not be soon because she's still making bank, but
well, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to stop being financially.
You're gonna have to keep finding new novel ways to compete in this business, and
oddly enough, they're only
go to further extremes.
They're only, it only seems to be in number. Like, that seems to be the only thing they can think of is more. Mm-hmm. There was a debate going on the other day where Pokimane was talking about how it was annoying that all the biggest streamers are men. And then people pointed to the fact that Kai Cenat released like this high production quality advertisement of him as Batman to announce his most recent stream group.
Thank you. So they're saying he's just putting more effort in.
He puts it. Him and I Show Speed put in more work.
Yeah.
They work hard. That's just the way it is. You got to be more creative. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to find some new way beyond just more whoring. You gotta lean into creative whoring.
Ideally, we would not be whoring at all. How about no whoring?
Hey, I'm operating under the premise that she doesn't want to switch professions, so I'm just trying to give more advice.
I mean, I cannot imagine the psychological
Think smarter,
toll.
not longer.
Like, you cannot really confront what you've done after sleeping with 600 or 1,000 men. Like, that is psychologically scarring.
I'm with, okay, so Dad Bod Baboon says, so she wants a traditional chivalrous man, but is okay with being anything but a traditional woman. Yes, the concept of the man paying for the date is an old school form of chivalry and courtship, you know, in the West.
Well, I mean, even the concept of going out on a date to a restaurant and buying a meal there, it's actually very new. Like, that in and of itself is new. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about things that were normal in the 20th century up until the 90s.
She's not worth however many goats she would normally get when she was younger.
Yeah, it's sad. She doesn't really understand that there's a huge dissonance in what she's saying. But it's almost endearing that she still wants a traditional relationship in some sense of the word.
I don't see it as endearing. I see it as highly delusional
and
entitled.
Delusional. It is delusional.
It's entitled and delusional. It's not endearing.
The heart wants what it wants is what I'm trying to say.
Then,
you know,
well, the hard part of that is like, yes, the heart wants what it wants, but one must also understand that how we behave informs what we're liable to get. And there's no connection being made there from them.
You can't take back what you've done when it's so public.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.